Welcome to the Confluence demonstration video. This video is intended to provide you with an in-depth tour of Atlassian Confluence. Here's our agenda. To get started, I'll give you a brief overview of Atlassian and where Confluence fits into our product portfolio. Then I'll give you some background on what Confluence is, what it's used for, and who's using it today. Afterward, we'll dive straight into a product demonstration that's divided into 3 sections. First, we'll show you how to create rich content, spaces, pages, blog posts, and other forms of content. Then we'll demonstrate how Confluence helps you discover content that's relevant to you. Third, we'll show you how Confluence allows you to take action on your most important work. Lastly, we'll show you how to extend Confluence to your specific requirements with add-ons from the Atlassian Marketplace. If this is your first time taking a look at Confluence, please be aware that there are plenty of resources available to help your team learn more about the product. You've probably seen our website. We have a quick start site with resources to help you get started with the most important Confluence features. We also have a Confluence-specific product blog, as well as plenty of other videos on our YouTube channel. If you are interested in trying Confluence for yourself, we offer a free 30-day evaluation that you can either download and install or trial online. If you're not familiar with Atlassian, let me give you a brief introduction. We are a privately held company founded in 2002, based out of Sydney, Australia, with offices in San Francisco and Amsterdam. We currently have over 23,000 customers worldwide. We pride ourselves on being an open company. For instance, we provide source code access with all commercial and academic licenses. We clearly list our pricing on our website, and we publish all of our bugs and feature enhancements online using our public bug tracker for customers to vote, comment, and provide feedback on. At Atlassian, we believe building great products and software is a social challenge. It takes collaboration and communication across multiple teams and often multiple offices to get a finished product out the door. We like to call the process of building software the concept to launch cycle, and each phase in this cycle requires great tools to keep progress moving forward. At Atlassian, we have a suite of products that help in every phase of the concept to launch cycle. Confluence is our team collaboration platform where ideas are born and content is created to support the development of your product. Jira is our issue and project tracking software where ideas are turned into actionable items that everyone can track to completion. Our developer tools are where your code is hosted, reviewed, and managed. With the entire suite, you have everything you need to plan, track, and build an awesome product. Before we dive into the Confluence demo, let's take a moment to discuss what Confluence is, its basic system architecture, how our customers use Confluence, who our customers are, and some of Confluence's basic concepts. Confluence is one place for technical teams to collaborate online by creating, sharing, and discussing your ideas, files, specs, mockups, projects, and other rich content through the use of Confluence pages, blog posts, and comments. Confluence is Atlassian's team collaboration platform. Confluence is a place where you can put your ideas into pages and create content, and have that content be discoverable and accessible to everyone on your team or company, and where you take action on the work that you have created or discussed. This process is what we call the collaboration cycle, and it is a workflow that leads to improved results because in the end, when using Confluence, everyone has a voice, information flows freely throughout your organization, and work doesn't just get talked about, it actually gets done. Confluence was designed from the ground up as a web-based application. It removes the geographic barriers between distributed teams, since it can be accessed from anywhere. All users need to start contributing in Confluence is a web browser, like Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, or Chrome. Confluence is very extensible thanks to Atlassian's rich marketplace. Add-ons can add extra functionality like online diagramming or task management, or change the look and feel to match your corporate style. To date, there are over 400 add-ons available for Confluence on the Atlassian Marketplace to help you customize Confluence to suit your needs. There are 2 deployment options for Confluence. You can host it on your own server behind the firewall, or we can host it for you using our on-demand platform. With over 13,000 customers in over 100 countries, Confluence is used across a wide range of industries by teams and organizations, both big and small. Atlassian's customers have access to our vibrant community of staff, partners, customers, and a multitude of plugin developers. Now I'll explain some of Confluence's most basic concepts to help you build a foundation for how it all works. For instance, a really simple and effective use of Confluence is to record your meeting notes. Traditionally, you may have created an agenda using Microsoft Word and emailed that agenda as an attachment to all those that were attending the meeting. The problem in this approach is that you have to send out duplicate copies of the same document, and if someone wants to make a change to the agenda, they have to download the attachment, open it in Word, make the change, and then resend the new version to all attendees. That is quite a process in and of itself, and there's also a chance that people will come to the meeting with different versions of the agenda. By keeping your content in one place online, everyone in the meeting can access it, make changes, and stay up to date about the latest version of the agenda. With Confluence, you can put all your team's work in one central repository where it's accessible, viewable, editable, and searchable, allowing you to send less email, hold fewer meetings, and achieve better results. First, let's cover how content is organized in Confluence. At the root of Confluence is the dashboard, which is your landing page when you log into Confluence. All content stems from the dashboard. You can think of it as your team's information portal. Below the dashboard are spaces. All content in Confluence is stored in spaces, all of which can be accessed from the dashboard. In this illustration, we have a space that is being used as a private intranet, and another space that is completely public, being used for product documentation. Using permissions, which we'll discuss later, the content of a public space is viewable by anyone, but only editable by registered Confluence users. Each space functions autonomously within Confluence with its own administrator, security permissions, and theme. It's best to think of each space as a separate container for groups of related pages and content. Each space can have unlimited parent and child pages organized in a simple page hierarchy. The fraternal terminology simply indicates that parent pages are higher on the page hierarchy than child pages, and typically a child page is a related subtopic of a parent page. For example, the development team space might contain an upcoming release feature spec and its release notes. Similarly, a technical documentation space might contain a product's FAQs. If you ever want to manage where a page sits in the hierarchy, Confluence makes it easy to move any page within a space page hierarchy or between different spaces. If you move a parent page that has a grouping of child pages from one space to another, the child pages will also be moved to the new space, so your group content can always remain intact. I might choose to move my release notes pages that I drafted in the development team space to the technical documentation space to make public to our customers and stakeholders. Let's start the demonstration by logging into Confluence and looking at the different functions of the dashboard. In the top left of the dashboard, Confluence displays a configurable welcome message. This is a great place for company announcements or news that you'd like employees to see. Beneath the welcome message, we have a list of Confluence spaces, favorite pages, and your network. By default, you'll see a list of spaces separated between spaces you've marked as your favorite and all other global spaces that you have permission to view. For this particular demonstration, Confluence is being used as a company intranet, so we have spaces for various teams and projects related to the IRCT app. I can mark any space in Confluence as a favorite, meaning it will appear in my favorite spaces list above. Similarly, the dashboard also lists pages that I have marked as a favorite. Typically, these are important pages that I frequent or have important information that I want to find quickly. Finally, I can change the list so that it displays my network. Your network is made up of other Confluence users whose activity you follow or users that follow you. The network feature is a great way to stay updated on the activity of the people you work closest with. We'll discuss building your network in more detail in the Discover section of this demonstration. No matter where you are in Confluence, you will always have access to the global header. You can use the Application Navigator to switch to other Atlassian applications or external applications that your company uses. You can also access the Space Directory and People Directory to find spaces or users in your Confluence instance. If you have Team Calendars, an Atlassian add-on for Confluence, installed, you can also access your calendars. You can create content from anywhere in Confluence using the global Create button. We'll learn more about creating content and using page templates in the Create section of this demonstration. In the top right-hand corner of every Confluence page, you'll find the quick navigation search box. From here, you can search for all content in Confluence. Also on the dashboard, you'll notice two action buttons, Add Space and Invite Users, that make it quick and easy to create a space or add more users from the dashboard. Upon clicking the Create Space button, I can name my new space and select the space key. On the right-hand side of the dashboard, you'll find a list of recently updated content in Confluence, helping you stay up to date with what your colleagues are working on. Similar to the list of spaces, I can view recently updated content by popularity, from all spaces, my favorite spaces, or specific space categories, so I can keep up to date on the content I care about and avoid the stuff I don't. If you prefer to have a different homepage than the dashboard, you can change this in your user preferences. Now let's take a closer look at a Confluence page by clicking on one of the links in our recently updated activity stream. First, let's focus on the links in the top left of the screen. These are known as breadcrumbs, which display the current page's location in the content hierarchy of Confluence. The current page is titled iPad App Login Screen Requirements and is located in the Development Team space. If you ever get lost in Confluence, just take a look at the breadcrumbs for your point of reference. We've just discussed the basic concepts of Confluence and who Atlassian is. Now let's take some time to discuss how fast and easy it is to create rich content using Confluence so anyone on your team can begin contributing in no time. In this section, I'll show you how to create rich content using Confluence. First, we'll learn some basic formatting features like creating a Confluence page and using the Confluence editor to insert rich content. Then I'll demonstrate a few of Confluence's more advanced editing features, including keyboard shortcuts and autocomplete to help you create content fast. Lastly, we'll take a look at how to encourage new user adoption by creating a personal space and how features like blueprints, autosave and versioning create a fearless editing experience for users. We'll start by creating a page in the space that's used for collaboration amongst the development team. You can add new pages in any space, which you have the Create Page permission. Just hit the global Create button and select Blank Page. To save time and increase your productivity, you can also use the keyboard shortcut C to add a page. This is just one of the many keyboard shortcuts available to help you navigate Confluence and create content really fast. You can reference all the shortcuts available at any time by reviewing the keyboard shortcuts dialog accessible from your Help menu. Adding a new page opens up the Confluence editor, where we can give the page a title. Now we'll add some content using the rich text editor that allows you to create and insert content similar to popular word processors, and apply formatting by clicking the icons in the toolbar. Let's start by adding some structure to the page with the layout. You can choose any layout to fit your content. Select from layouts with headers, footers, or side panels. For this page, we'll select a 2-column layout with a header and footer. Next, we'll add a large header to the top of the page. Then we'll insert a table by clicking the table icon in the toolbar of the editor, which will trigger a drop-down where I can easily specify the exact number of rows and columns that I want. Notice that I am now given table operations to edit and manage my table. This section of the toolbar is contextual and will only be shown if there's a table on the page. The table toolbar offers a lot of powerful operations, including the ability to merge table cells, and highlight them. You can select from multiple colors when highlighting cells. Let's create some tasks for my team to complete for the IRC launch. One of my tasks for this release is to complete a customer user story. I started drafting that page earlier this week, so I'll just link to it. There are a couple of ways to create links in Confluence. To start, let's use the Insert Link dialog by clicking the link icon in the toolbar. From the Search tab, I can search for and insert links to content that lives inside Confluence, including pages, blog posts, attachments, and people. Now let's add the profile picture macro in the owner column so other users know what I look like and can click the image to jump to my personal space to learn more about me. Confluence comes bundled with a number of macros that let you add extra functionality or dynamic content to a page or blog post. You can insert macros using the macro browser from within the Insert menu or using the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-A. Macros in the macro browser are grouped into categories in the left-hand column. This is an effective way to help users manage the list of macros and discover new ones, which we can quickly find by using the search box in the top right of the macro browser. Search will filter the list of macros based on what I type, whether it is in the macro title or just a part of the description. Once I find the macro I'm looking for, I can quickly configure it and insert it into the page. We've successfully inserted the macro onto the page. In the fourth column marked Status, we'll insert a macro that will help viewers of the page quickly identify at what stage a task is. For this particular macro, I can change its color and title before clicking refresh to preview how it will be displayed when I save the page. If I like how it looks, I can insert it onto my Confluence page. The macro renders exactly as it would appear if you save the page, providing clarity for what your page will eventually look like. This is what is known as a macro placeholder, a visual representation of your macro before publishing your page. While macros are visually simple, they also are simple to edit. Every macro placeholder has a macro properties panel that provides additional functionality and a means for quick edits. You can edit the text in the status macro, quickly change the color, or even remove it from the page. I can also double-click the macro placeholder to quickly edit its settings. Finally, I can complete this row by adding some notes. To make it clear, I'll add a bulleted list to the table cell. I can also trigger a bulleted list by typing the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-B. On second thought, I think I want to turn this bulleted list into a numbered list, so I'll just highlight the list and click the numbered list icon in the toolbar. I can also use the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-N. These lists can be adjusted to display subpoints using the Tab key, making it really easy for me to manage my content. Let's take a look at what this page looks like by previewing it. The page looks identical to what we created in the editor. With Confluence, what you see is what you get. Let's go back and add another task to our page. You can edit any Confluence page by clicking Edit or typing the keyboard shortcut E. This time I'm going to use a feature we call autocomplete to insert links and macros even faster. You can also insert images using this feature as well. There are 3 trigger keys that you can use depending on the action you're trying to perform. Let's check them out by referencing the keyboard shortcuts dialog. Autocomplete makes it incredibly fast to insert images and files, links, and macros into pages and blog posts. My colleague Matt needs to complete the IRC press release, so let's record that in the page. I can trigger autocomplete for links by typing a left square bracket. Confluence will immediately recommend my most recently viewed pages or blogs. Since Matt has started the page, I will link to the page that he has created. As I type, pages are dynamically filtered. Once I see the page I want to link to, I simply press enter. Now, just like we did earlier, let's add the profile picture macro, but this time we'll use autocomplete. I can trigger autocomplete for macros by typing a left brace. Autocomplete will suggest a list of Confluence's most popular macros, and I can start typing to search for other macros available. I can select the macro and hit enter to launch the macro browser, where I can configure this macro. Let's do it again for the status macro. Again, I won't even touch the mouse. Finally, let's add some notes to Matt's task. I want to make sure he uses the official IRCT banner image in the press release, so I'll bring it up using autocomplete for images. Autocomplete works for images, files and documents, and a large variety of multimedia files. I can trigger autocomplete for images and files by typing an exclamation point. Confluence immediately suggests the attachments of the current page. Once I find the image, I can use my keyboard arrows to select it and hit Enter to insert it into the page. Just like links in Confluence, I can click on Embedded Images to open the Image Properties panel. This makes it really easy for me to define a custom width to the exact pixel, quickly resize the image, make it a thumbnail, insert a border, link to the image, or add an effect. Let's finish the page. Historically, wikis have been defined by a language syntax known as wiki markup. However, Confluence's revolutionary new editor takes the speed of wiki markup and combines it with the power of rich text. The result is auto-formatting. Let's take a look at how Confluence renders wiki markup on the fly. You can find all the formatting shortcuts in the keyboard shortcut dialog. Now that we're up to speed, let's try a few out. Create a heading by typing H1, period. Upon typing a space, your text will change to heading 1 text. For bolded text, just type star and the text you want to bold. Upon closing that text off with another star, the text will automatically be rendered bold. Italicized text is just as easy. You can even create bulleted and numbered lists fast too. Maybe the most powerful feature, you can insert a table with just a few pipes. Upon typing enter, my table will appear. And let's throw in a few emoticons for good measure. Auto-formatting combines the best parts of wiki markup with the best parts of rich text editing. With the Confluence editor, you have all the power. Let's take a moment to discuss how you can encourage new user adoption in Confluence. Every Confluence user has the opportunity to create a personal space if permitted by the global permissions, where they can create and publish their own pages and blogs. This space is particularly useful if you're using Confluence as an intranet, because it gives users an area of Confluence that's distinctly their own. For new users, this can be far less intimidating than creating content in a shared or public space. A user can make their personal spaces open or close as they want by setting their space permissions. I recently created a specification for the Angry Nerds iPad app in my personal space because I wasn't quite comfortable creating it in the development team space just yet. When I'm ready for the team to see it, I can easily move the page and all of its content to the team space using the Move Page dialog. Now that I've completed this, I think I'm ready to start drafting and creating content more publicly in our intranet without creating it in my personal space first. Let's take a moment to discuss Confluence blueprints and how they can encourage adoption for new users. We'll start by adding a new page from the dashboard. In the Create dialog, you can see the types of content you can create. Along with the blank page and blog post, users can create meeting notes, file lists, and product requirements using the Confluence blueprints. You can also create pages from templates created by users or administrators. I'd like to create some product requirements, so I'll select that blueprint. Blueprints make creating content easy for users by showing them what they can create, how to create it, and automatically structuring and organizing their content. Blueprints introduce users to macros, such as the Page Properties macro, which presents a summary of metadata on a Confluence page, and the Status macro. They also trigger editor features like mentions automatically. Once my page is complete, I can access all my product requirements, which are automatically indexed in Confluence. I can sort by any of the properties that I added in the page. Blueprints will allow your team and your new users to focus on content creation and less on content formatting, helping everyone contribute to your team's knowledge. For more details on how to create blueprints or templates, please refer to the Confluence documentation. The great thing about Confluence is that it records the complete history of every page edit, who made the change, what change was made, and when the change was made. The page history screen allows us to see every previous version that ever existed. Confluence lets you select 2 versions to compare their differences. We can easily revert back to a previous version of this page. This feature really breaks down the barrier to adoption and encourages new users to contribute and edit to Confluence pages worry-free. In this section, I'll show you how to discover content with your team and organization to enhance collaboration, avoid content duplication, and reduce the number of emails you send to your teammates. First, we'll discuss Confluence's deep LDAP integration and intuitive user management scheme. Then we'll cover Confluence's granular permission scheme that cover the global, space, and page levels so that you can share what you want with exactly who you want. Third, I'll demonstrate how Confluence can act as a lightweight repository for files, images, and multimedia through the use of page attachments, allowing you to better share your hard drive without a single email. Then we'll discuss a few features that allow you to share content with teammates instantly, so your team is always up to date on the latest and greatest. Finally, we'll take a look at Confluence as a single source publishing platform that allows for easy export of your Confluence content into Office and PDF files for further distribution. A user directory is a place where you store information about users and groups. Confluence's internal directory stores user and group information in the Confluence database. You can also securely connect to multiple external user directories such as an LDAP, Active Directory, Atlassian Crowd, and Jira for user management and authentication. Connecting to an LDAP directory server is useful if your users and groups are stored in a corporate directory. You can securely and deeply integrate your LDAP directory with Confluence's user directory, allowing for the following connection options. Confluence operates as a read-only directory of your local LDAP directory. All user and group management is pre-specified by your local LDAP server and cannot be altered from Confluence. Confluence operates as a read-only directory of your local LDAP directory, but you can create new custom Confluence user groups in Confluence's user directory, allowing you to regroup users of your LDAP directory as they pertain to the Confluence application. A secure and trusted link can be formed between Confluence and your LDAP directory, so when you modify a user, group, or membership via Confluence, changes will be applied directly to your LDAP directory server. Confluence's user management is incredibly stable and makes it easy to administer users regardless of how large your team or organization is. For more information, refer to the Confluence documentation. Categorizing your user directory in Confluence makes it particularly easy to manage users in Confluence's permission scheme. You must be a system or Confluence administrator to add a new user. You will not be allowed to add a user if you have reached your license's capacity. Once a user is added to Confluence, he or she can then be added to a user group. It's easy to create new groups and manage existing ones. I've just added Jens as a new user, and I can quickly add him to the Confluence marketing group. Grouping users makes it really easy to manage Confluence's granular permission scheme, as my team or organization creates content that's both public and private. Now let's show how easy and intuitive it is to manage Confluence's users and groups throughout Confluence's granular permission scheme. The philosophy of a collaboration platform is by default that all content is open to all users. This approach fosters collaboration and communication to produce amazing results. However, there are certain situations when you'd like to keep content private to specific groups or users. restrict editing of certain content, or even make some content open to the general public. Confluence has a very granular permission scheme, which lets you easily share your content exactly how you want. There are 3 levels of permissions in Confluence: global, space, and page. Let's start by setting the global permissions. One of the best parts of Confluence is the ability to create an unlimited number of spaces. As a Confluence administrator, I can go to the global permissions in the Confluence admin console, where I can fundamentally define how content is created by Confluence users and groups in the unlimited spaces. From here, I can select which users can create global and personal spaces, who can attach files to their user profile, who can update their status, and who has administrator privileges. If I want Confluence to be public-facing so that anyone can view my site, I can enable anonymous access and define it so anyone that visits can view, comment, and export the content to PDF. For example, Atlassian's public instance of Confluence at confluence.atlassian.com has enabled anonymous access at the global level so that anyone can view our documentation but not edit it. We've then set space level permissions so that our technical writers can easily maintain, update, and create more technical documentation. Now let's take a look at space level permissions. The person who creates a space is automatically the administrator of that space. Let's take a look at the permissions for the documentation space. This space contains a documentation theme, which comes bundled in Confluence. You can view the permissions of this space and other administrative tools in the documentation theme from the Space Admin screen, which can be found in the Browse menu. Now let's take a look at how to edit a space's permission in the default space theme. Let's look at the permissions for the Human Resources space. Since I created this space, I'm able to access the Space Tools console, where I can edit the permissions for this space and much more. Here's where the space admin can set permissions for Confluence groups and individual users. Let's take a look at the permissions for groups on this page. Right now, the Confluence users group, which is all registered users for Confluence, have the ability to view, create, and edit content in the space. If you connected your LDAP directory to Confluence, you can search and define the space permissions for the specific group of users. If we look at the permissions for individuals, you can see that I have complete space admin permission for the HR space. Down at the bottom of the page is currently inaccessible, since we are using this instance of Confluence for an intranet and have not switched the anonymous access permission on the global level. I can easily provide more permissions to individual users. Let's remove all of the permissions from the Confluence users group and give permissions to the marketing team group. Let's add the marketing team group by clicking on the magnifying glass to search for groups. And select it. We can then set the appropriate permissions and save them. Now only members of the marketing team have the permission to view the Human Resources space. We went to the extreme by making the space invisible to most users in our organization. But what we could have done was allowed the Confluence user group the permission to view the space, but restricted the ability to edit and comment. Let's discuss the final level of Confluence permissions, known as page level restrictions. The term restrictions is used on this level because if a user has permission on the global and space level to generally view and edit content in a space, then he or she must be restricted to view particular pages by the page's creator. To demonstrate, let's take a look at a page I've created to spec out the Irked iPad app. I want input on the spec, but I don't want them to have the ability to make changes to the actual page. So I'll use page restrictions. I already showed you how to edit the restrictions of a page from the editor, but you can also access the dialog from the Tools menu. At the page level, we can restrict the viewing of the page and also restrict the editing of the page to an individual or group of users. Now I only want myself to have the permission to edit the page, so I'll select Restrict Editing of this page and click on Use Me. Additionally, I only want members of the development team group to read this draft, so I'll select Restrict Viewing of this page and click on Choose Groups and select the development team group. I can do the same for Sarah. Now that we have the restrictions set, we can save the page. Notice that I currently have the edit button in the top right of this page because I've restricted this page so I'm the only user that can edit it. If we log in as Sarah, you'll notice that she does not have the option to edit this page, but she can still view and comment on it. By making use of the permissions and security schemes in Confluence, you can share what you want with exactly who you want, making your content as private or public as you like. Traditionally, organizations store documents, graphics, presentations, and other types of files in a shared drive. Unfortunately, shared drives make it difficult to organize content in meaningful ways. Worse, each department often has its own shared drive, making it practically impossible for anyone to perform an enterprise-wide search for the files they need. If you're just a small team and don't have a shared network drive, how many times have you emailed an Office file back and forth in order to share and update your team? Confluence houses all kinds of content and is accessible wherever you need it. Easily update your Microsoft Word files, PDF documents, images, multimedia, or any other files in Confluence. Coupled with Confluence's granular permission scheme, you have control over who can access which content. Let's create a page for sharing files for the upcoming marketing road trip using the file list blueprint. This blueprint uses the attachments macro, which makes it easy to attach and view files on a Confluence page. I can attach multiple files onto the page simply by dragging them from my desktop onto the page. You can attach images, Office documents, PDFs, anything. Once my files are attached to the page, I can also view the file's details. I can view the file, edit it in Microsoft Office, view its properties, or remove it. For PowerPoint presentations, I can even preview the slides from the page. Confluence automatically versions attachments, so if I attach a new version of the PowerPoint, Confluence will automatically recognize it and add a new version to the history. Now everyone has the most up-to-date files without having to receive an email with a newer version. All file lists are automatically indexed in Confluence and located in the space sidebar. But it's also important to be able to export content for distribution. For example, you may like to give your users the option to download PDF versions of your Confluence pages or even an entire space. You can even export individual pages to Microsoft Word. I'm going to show you how to export a page to PDF by going to the Tools menu and selecting Export to PDF. If you want to export to a Word document, select Export to Word. Notice that the table of contents remains intact with live links. Any links within the document itself are also preserved. If you would like to export multiple Confluence pages within a space to a single PDF, visit the Space Tools console, select Content Tools, and Export. If you have your own corporate styling that you would like to see in the export, you can modify the PDF style sheet with your own custom CSS. With powerful search alongside unlimited content creation, Confluence makes it easy to find the exact article you need. If it's in Confluence, you can find it fast using the quick navigation search box, conveniently located at the top of every page. You can access this field using the keyboard shortcut /. I just start typing and Confluence will immediately suggest results for me. Let's try Jerry. There I am. Now let's look for the launch task we created earlier. Just a couple of keystrokes and Confluence has discovered the page for us thanks to the quick navigation feature. Quick navigation will search for admin functions if you are a Confluence administrator, pages and blog posts, attachments, people, and spaces. Earlier in the demonstration, I attached a PowerPoint presentation to a page in Confluence, but I can't remember the name of the file or the page I attached it to. However, I do remember some of the text it contained. One of the slides of the presentation said licensing, so let's do a search for that. This will launch Confluence's advanced search screen, and I'll only see results of content that I have the permission to see. Instantly, Confluence has found a result, and it looks like the file I'm after. Taking a closer look at the results, I have a direct link to the attachment. I can quickly view the file online to ensure it's the right one, or download it to my desktop. I also have a preview of the text where the search term was discovered, and underneath that I can see the breadcrumbs telling me exactly where the file attachment is located in Confluence's page hierarchy. We just used a quick search box in the top right of the screen, which has searched all Confluence's spaces by default, but we can narrow down my search by adding filters. Let's search for one of the images I inserted into the road trip assets file list I created earlier, using the filter scheme on the right-hand side of the screen. I can filter my search to only include attachments and only attachments that I have added to a page. The searching capabilities in Confluence are very powerful and allow you to instantly find all the content that your team creates. In this section, I'll show you how you can take action on your most important work in Confluence. I'll show you how to use your Confluence workbox to stay on top of the content you care most about. We'll look at how to better manage Confluence spaces and take action on new content using the space directory, how to build a network in Confluence by following teammates so you can keep up to date on the activity of those you work closest with. Then we'll discuss how to label your content to make it more discoverable and connect content that exists in different spaces. We'll cover Confluence's email notification scheme and RSS feed builder so you can receive email and RSS updates about changing content that's pertinent to you. And lastly, I'll demonstrate how commenting can be used for communication, fostering discussion, and shortening feedback loops. Let's see how you can take action on your most important work in Confluence using your workbox. I just finished the team goals for the upcoming quarter. I'm going to share this page with the rest of my team using the share button. I've shared the page with Matt, so now let's see what Matt sees when he logs into Confluence. Matt sees that he has several new notifications in his workbox. Your workbox in Confluence allows you to stay on top of all your work in one place. You receive notifications when a user shares content with you, mentions you, assigns you a task, likes, or comments on content you have created. When you have multiple comments or likes on your content, Workbox automatically aggregates it. You can dig into each notification for more detail. So let's look at the notification for the page I shared. Each notification has all the information you need to act upon it. You have a link back to the relevant page, a contextual note, and a way to store your notifications for later action. If I add the notification to my tasks, I can see it in my personal task list. My personal task list allows me to see all of my tasks in one view. I can quickly add a task or drill down into tasks to get more context. With the task list that's tightly integrated with your work, you won't have need for other task management applications. In the Confluence overview at the beginning of this product demonstration, I briefly showed you that your list of spaces and activity stream on the dashboard could be categorized. Now I'll elaborate on how it all works using the space directory. The space directory can be accessed from the Spaces link in the global header from any page. Immediately, you'll be presented with the All Spaces tab, displaying all spaces in your Confluence instance. Let's mark the Human Resources space as a favorite by clicking the star. If we visit the Favorite Spaces tab, you'll notice that the Human Resources space has been added. We can also view this list on the dashboard and view all recently updated content from my favorite spaces in the activity stream. Because I just added Human Resources as my favorite, I'll start to see content updates from that particular space. Now let's view the Development category tab. Notice that all of these spaces are tagged with a similar category of development. Any space tagged development will be listed here in this space category. Let's take a look at how to categorize a space. Only space administrators can categorize spaces, so let's categorize the development team space. I'll need to visit the Space Tools menu in the sidebar. Then I click on Overview to see the space details. Once here, I can edit my space categories. I have two options. I can select one of the suggested categories, or I can type to create a new one for the space. I think I'll do both by selecting IRCT, and then creating a new one called We Rock. Let's revisit the space directory and notice that the development team is now categorized as Development, IRCT, and We Rock. I can locate this space in the IRCT tab and also the newly created We Rock tab. Lastly, I have the option to set the list of spaces in Activity Stream on the dashboard as those categorized as We Rock. Confluence makes it really easy to navigate and take action on your space content. The network feature helps you keep track of what other users are doing throughout your Confluence site by allowing you to follow their recent activities. Rather than watching specific types of content for new updates, the network feature can provide notifications on updates made by specific users that you choose to follow. Let's visit my network page to see who's in it by visiting the User menu. Currently, I'm following 5 people. On the page is a dynamic activity stream that shows the progress as users I'm following update content, making it really easy for me to keep tabs on what they're working on. I can also receive email notifications or create an RSS feed of the recent activity of these users. Let's follow someone new. Now that I'm following Tim, I can see his most recent updated work. Let's jump to the dashboard. Jeff is new and will be working on some really interesting things, and I'd like to follow him as well. I can hover over his name to bring up his hover profile that provides me with some quick details. By clicking follow, I'll now receive updates of Jeff's work in my network activity stream. Let's have a look. My network is a great resource to stay in touch with my team and keep updated on users that I work closest with. Let's take a moment to discuss how you can tag your content through the use of labels. Labels are keywords or tags that you can add to pages. There are two kinds of labels that can be used to tag a page or blog post. The first is a global label. A global label is available to all users across the site. Once a global label is added, any user with permission to view a page can also view its labels. Any user with permission to edit a page can add a global label to a page. Let's label this spec page with 2 different labels. First, we'll tag the page with the label called Specification, and then another one called iPad. Labels are user-defined. You can add any word that helps you identify the content in the site. Personal labels are perfect for making content that you are personally interested in. Personal labels are only visible to the user that created them, and they are differentiated from global labels because they include the prefix my. Let's create a new personal label for this spec page called Created. Now I can label all the pages and blogs across Confluence that I create. If I create a new page, this personal label will be suggested so I can use it again. I can also discover content that I have tagged with a personal label in my user menu. Let's log in as Tim. Notice that he can see the label Specification and iPad, but he cannot see the label Created, because that is my personal label. You can receive all your most important notifications in Confluence in your workbox, which is a great way to avoid application switching and email overload. However, it is also possible to control your email settings in Confluence as well, so you can still manage your inbox. To manage my email settings, I'll need to visit the Settings from my user menu and select Email Settings. By default, Auto Watch is ticked for you, but if you don't want to watch the content you create and contribute to, you can untick it. Confluence also lets you subscribe to all the content you have permission to see. All blog posts within Confluence so you can keep up to date on anything a team member determines is newsworthy. All content updated by your network when someone follows you. All content that you contribute to. All change content. And finally, you can choose to receive a weekly email with recommended content based on content with the most likes and comments in your instance. Perfect for staying on top of what's relevant in your company. Managing the emails Confluence sends you is easy. You can even jump to the email settings screen from any Confluence email notification, allowing you to take control of your inbox. While managing Confluence's email notifications is easy, you may want to create a custom RSS feed for your content updates instead. You can view your Confluence RSS feed from your favorite RSS reader, including FeedDemon and NetNewsWire. Confluence has a built-in RSS feed builder that allows you to create your own custom feeds to keep you updated on modifications to pages, blogs, file attachments, and comments. You can find your feed builder in the Help menu. As a member of the development team, I may like to create a feed which notifies me whenever another user creates, edits, or comments on a page or blog post in the development team space. And click Create RSS Feed. Now I'll subscribe to this feed using my feed reader of choice, NetNewsWire. My RSS reader will ask me for my Confluence username and password, and once I've entered those, I'll have subscribed to my custom feed. It's already picked up a few of those changes that we made recently. I can create as many feeds as I want to help me organize all of the content I'd like to stay updated on in Confluence. RSS feeds and email notifications makes it really easy for you to stay in the loop and take action on the most important content. Let's take a look at how you can use likes and comments to have meaningful discussions and make decisions on Confluence pages. Here we have the page where I created a specification for a feature in an upcoming release. I've added all sorts of rich content and detailed description to the page. Tim and Jens have agreed to review the specification and provide feedback before I start to build out this feature. It's much faster to receive feedback on the page where I created my spec, and I don't have to schedule a meeting with Jens and Tim to discuss it. This is a major time saver for our team, letting us achieve better results faster. I can show my approval or acknowledge a relevant point of a comment or page by liking it. Tim has asked a valuable question that I want to focus on, so I like his comment. As we discuss the possibilities for this spec, I reference some text from the page. I can use the quote macro to reference it. Naturally, a discussion ensues and the team is able to provide feedback for me. In no time, I am ready to start building this feature. Commenting and liking is a really effective way to discuss and make decisions without having to schedule meetings. You'll also never have to toggle between your content and your email client again, because the discussion happens right on the page. Commenting plays a vital role in sparking company or team-wide discussions. Email is far too cumbersome to handle numerous users and points of view, making it hard to follow the general flow of the conversation. This is an introductory blog post that a new member of our company recently published. It explains his personal background, interests, and what he's been hired to work on. Anyone in the company can respond to this blog post by commenting, allowing a diverse and meaningful discussion to form. I'll comment myself and include a video that I think our new teammate might enjoy. I can embed the YouTube video by simply pasting the URL into the editor. You can do the same for Jira issues, Sketch images, Flickr photo streams, Vimeo videos, and Google Maps. Comments in Confluence are really powerful because you have Confluence's complete editor at your disposal, allowing you to respond to pages and blog posts with more rich content. By commenting on this introductory blog, it allows everyone in our team and organization to make our new hire feel welcome and begin forming relationships immediately. Commenting in Confluence is a great way to bring people together and harness valuable discussions. There's a lot you can do with Confluence, but with various integrations and add-ons, the potential is limitless. In this section, I'll discuss how Confluence deeply integrates with Jira, Atlassian's bug and issue tracking software. Then I'll show you how to extend and customize Confluence to fit your team's needs with our Atlassian Marketplace. Deep integration between Jira and Confluence allows your team to conceptualize and plan releases and stay updated on your bug log by managing, collaborating, and creating actionable Jira issues. Let's take a look at how you can transform feature specifications in Confluence into actionable issues for a development team in Jira without leaving the Confluence editor. Let's go to a product requirement that I've already started on. Note that your Confluence administrator must first configure application links between your Confluence and Jira instances for these features to be available. The Insert Jira Issue dialog lets you insert links to existing issues and create new Jira issues from the Confluence editor. I can quickly insert a link to the existing issue by selecting it from the Recently Viewed tab and clicking Insert. While it's quick and easy to insert links to issues that I've already created, it's also possible to create new issues without leaving Confluence. I can then choose the relevant Jira project before entering the rest of the required issue fields. When I click Insert, the issue will be created in Jira, and a link to it will be inserted into the Confluence page. Finally, let's take a look at how you can search for existing Jira issues using Quick Search for JQL. I'll open the Insert Jira Issue dialog and select the Search tab. Using JQL, I'll search for all bugs that will be fixed in the IRC development project and insert them into the page. Here they are. Now I can either select an individual issue to insert into the page, or I can check this box to insert all the issues returned from the search as a list. Any issue inserted into a Confluence page using application links is dynamic. So if any issue is updated in Jira, that change will be reflected in the issues embedded in Confluence. You can also receive notifications from Jira in your Confluence workbox. One of the most powerful aspects of Confluence is the rich ecosystem of add-ons that users have at their disposal. Add-ons are designed to extend Confluence's functionality and further customize it to fit exactly how your team works. You might be suspect of how easy it is to download and install add-ons with Confluence, but we can assure you it's as simple as a few clicks with the Atlassian Marketplace. You can access the Atlassian Marketplace from your user menu. If you are an admin, you can see and manage the add-ons that you have installed in your application and discover, download, and install new add-ons from the Atlassian Marketplace. You can browse all add-ons, or you can browse using filters, such as blueprints, which allow you to purchase more blueprints from third-party vendors on the Atlassian Marketplace. Here you'll find reviews, screenshots, compatibility information, and user documentation to determine which add-on will help your team the most. Non-admins can request add-ons to be installed by an administrator. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of our product demonstration video. Confluence breaks down information and geographic barriers, removes the publishing bottleneck, and helps your team create and collaborate with fewer meetings and less email while still achieving better results. Try Confluence today.